It is a mad scramble to the finish line in Canberra as the Labor government tries to tie up several pieces of legislation before it all ends for the year tomorrow. Last night's success on two fronts with the passing of its housing and HECS policies through the Senate. Live to Canberra now, Deputy Opposition Leader Sussan Ley joins us. Sussan, you were defeated on both fronts. Good morning, by the way. What's your view of that this morning?
We oppose the HECS policy, Pete, because it doesn't pass the fairness test. I just ask your viewers, why should those who earn the lowest incomes in Australia pay for the HECS debts of those who earn the highest or have the potential to earn the highest incomes? It really, as I said, is simply not fair. And look, the housing policy, it's like a lot of things Labor does. The program sounds good, the rhetoric sounds good, all the words sound good, but it just wouldn't work in the real world. It would help maybe a handful of Australians, perhaps, and 1 million or more right now, millions of Australians are in urgent need of housing. So you have to have policies that pass this parliament that actually do what they say they're going to. And we've proposed an alternative housing policy that we believe will address a real desperate need for so many Australians. The other thing, Pete, is I do have to say this on housing. The cost of construction is getting out of control. Tradies aren't there on the tools, 80,000 less apprentices and trainees than there were when Labor came into office, and 100,000 less apprentices in the skills starting gate, which means we just don't have that pipeline ready to build the houses we need. So both these policies, I know Labor will be patting themselves on the back. Look, it's possibly only 2 days sitting before we have an election. We're ready to hold this government to account.
So what do you do on those two policies if you are successful at the next election?
What we do on housing is what we've said we will do, which is to have a $5 billion fund.
Right, but would you change them at all?
Local government. We would have our policy because we know our policy works. And if we're elected, as all governments come in with a mandate, then we hope that the parliament would respect that mandate, because 2 years in, this government has done nothing on housing. They've talked a really big game. We don't think their policies would work. Building a handful of homes only by their own reckoning, I think 10,000 homes was one of their policies. Look, it's a drop in the ocean. We have to do this systemically. We have to address it in every local government area. We have to partner with local government, the people who build the roads, build the sewage systems, put the water on, get that infrastructure right. And that's where we're focused.
But would you roll them back, I guess, is the question that I'm asking.
Well, we'll just wait and see what the next election brings. We intend to work incredibly hard to present an alternative agenda to the Australian people. We're doing that. We don't take anything for granted. As I said, Pete, when you come into government, you have a mandate, and I hope that we achieve government and that we bring, and I know if we do, we will bring that mandate with us, and we will, Australians will, I think, say, well, we heard a Labor government talk housing for years and it achieved nothing. And they're looking at our policy, and I think they're actually seeing that it would work.
OK, the Prime Minister to introduce legislation today that'll see supermarkets receive multi-million-dollar penalties for any breach of the Food and Grocery Code of Conduct. Would you support that?
Of course, we'll look at the legislation like we always do, but forgive me for being a little bit cynical. This government has been there for 900 days, and right now, as I said, with maybe only 2 sitting days left, they're introducing legislation about supermarkets. Of course, we believe we need to be tough on supermarkets where they do the wrong thing. People are already doing their Christmas shopping. They're already buying what they need for Christmas. I think they would raise their eyebrows. Why is this suddenly turning up now? Is there something that Labor is trying to signal that's not a real policy in the real world?
Right. Not so much now, though. I mean, they've been chipping away at this, to be fair. They've been chipping away at this for a while.
But legislation, 2 days in the last 2 days of Parliament.
Well, moves to push back against the supermarket giants, I suppose.
We'll have a look at the legislation, but it's just turning up. And this is the point. we know that everything that you buy in the supermarket is costing more to make and produce, whether it's frozen, whether it's in a fridge. The reckless renewables only policy is pushing up the cost of energy. Look at the supply chain for supermarkets. All of this is part of the really big problem when it comes to the cost of goods in the supermarket. I'm not here pointing the finger at the supermarkets. I'll do that when they do the wrong thing. I'm here pointing the finger at the Albanese government for the way they have mismanaged the economy so that we have got these price rises that are hurting Australians every single day, particularly in the supermarkets.
Alrighty. Sussan, good to see you. Thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.